Hallo, hi, is ingeskakel op Hectic Nana en reg hier op SABC2. And at the beginning of the show, we asked you guys if you know what homeopathy is. If you don't worry. Hectic Nana's got your back, as we are joined by Dr. Benjamin Her, and he'll be schooling us on exactly what homeopathy is. Welcome to Hectic Nana.
Thanks so much. Very good to be here.
Lovely. Now, for those viewers who don't know, what exactly is homeopathy?
Yeah, thanks very much. Homeopathic medicine is basically, it's a comprehensive medical therapy that applies medicines which stimulate the body's own healing and repair mechanisms to gently restore health. It was founded in the early 1900s by a distinguished German physician, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. And through his process of research, he developed two foundational principles upon which homeopathic medicine is conducted. And those two principles, one is the law of similars. And basically that highlights the relationship, the therapeutic relationship between a substance in its toxic capacity and its ability to cure an illness.
Oh, wow.
And then the other principle is the principle of minimal dose. And this basically highlights that we want to use the smallest possible dose to stimulate the body's immune response in order to process the healing and curing reaction.
Okay, now doctor, after listening to you, would you say that this is very similar to boereraad?
You know, that's a very good question, and it's quite interesting because homeopathic medicine, though originating in Europe, did center around a lot of folklore and folk medicine in the 1800s. But as it was identified that certain plants or substances had medicinal properties, the doctors of the time, they began to research them and actually record them therapeutically, as we've got here in our medical texts, which have actually gone through further investigations before they're applied in homeopathic practice.
Okay, now doctor, if I had to come to you like, oh my word, doctor, I have a rash on my arms and I have a lot of acne, what would you do? What would the process be with the consultation like that?
For sure. So in a sense, much like going to your GP, we would start with a clinical assessment. We would take a case history. We want to know, when did it start? How long has it been troubling for you? Various other questions. And then we'd also go on to ask broader questions about your general health and well-being that might seem unrelated to your immediate presentation, but it gives us an understanding of the individual and also the holistic approach in treating the condition. We might also do various tests. You know, in the context of a rash, we wouldn't necessarily do things like cholesterol testing or blood glucose, but those are things where we would send for assessments, depending on obviously what you come and see us for. And then we would compile all the information that we gather in physical assessment and clinical evaluation before we finalize a prescription which would be suitable for you. And in the case of something like a rash, which may be eczema, you know, we would formulate a specific medicine. We might use something like a cream that we would prescribe and dispense. As homeopathic doctors, we have a dispensing and compounding license, which enables us to prepare medicines for therapeutic use. And they may come in forms of powders or pills or drops. We also use injectables, depending obviously on the condition that you're seeking us for. And that you would only be able to get from a dispensing doctor. But if you were to, for example, go into a pharmacy or a health shop, you might be able to get some over-the-counter products which you don't need a prescription for. And that's more along the lines of these products over here, just starting with, you know, maybe something simple like a cough, for example.
One thing I'm really interested to find out about it, because I know what you get in a standard first aid kit, but this is a homeopathic medicine first aid kit. Are there any difference? Can I open it?
You're welcome to open it. Yeah, let me assist you there.
Are there any difference between what you find, something that you find in here?
So that's just a little bottle with homeopathic medicine inside it.
Okay, so this is the entire first aid kit.
So basically, this is a medicinal first aid kit, as opposed to like plasters and you know, gauze or anything like that for treating wounds. But this is, you know, for example, if you had, let's say you had a headache, for example, and you didn't want to use conventional medicine, you wanted to use homeopathic medicine, the simple question is, well, where are you going to get something? It's not always as accessible. So in the context of my practice, I have a first aid kit which enables you to have it in your home, and you can basically come to that kit and look for the appropriate medicine for your treatment.
I've never seen something like that. That is so inventive. Now, I've also heard something about the antibiotic resistance. What is that exactly?
So antibiotic resistance basically comes about when antibiotics are used continuously to treat the same kind of infection and possibly used unnecessarily or excessively. And in those instances, basically the bacteria begin to mutate and they can be resistant to an antibiotic that used to kill them and now no longer does. In that context, we find that homeopathic medicine has a very powerful role to play in treating disease because it actually doesn't fight the infection with the medicine itself. It stimulates the body to overcome the infection.
Wow.
It doesn't yield the results of antibiotic resistance.
Wow,
And
okay.
so that makes it quite significantly beneficial in the context of resistant cases.
Lovely. Well, Dr. Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Well, guys, there you have it. Now you know exactly what homeopathic medicines are. On that note, hop onto Facebook and Twitter, use that hashtag hectic, and send through your hectic and twallers.
Hectic.